Lover Come Hack to Me, directed by Tom Holland, written by Michael McDowell, and shot by Jeff Jur, based on a story that appeared in The Haunt of Fear number 19. This 1953 comic pushed boundaries that television wouldn't dare at the time, and late 1980s HBO allowed Tom Holland and his crew to take those ideas to the extreme. Welcome to Charles and Peggy's dark and stormy wedding night. Their engine has died, and Charles laments the idea of spending the start of their honeymoon stuck in a car. But Peggy doesn't mind. To her, as long as she's with the man she loves, she's happy. She tells Charles about her family and childhood. Her father, Alan, was killed before she was born under mysterious circumstances, and her mother, Frida, died during childbirth. Peggy was left to live with her loveless aunt, but now she knows true love and she couldn't be happier. And neither could he. The show begins at Charles and Peggy's actual wedding, and for such a warm event, it's a much colder opening. Peggy is still happy as can be, but her Aunt Edith doesn't trust Charles. She accuses Charles of marrying Peggy only for her money.
You love the fortune that her mother left her, and you love her stocks and bonds, and her real estate, and that big house.
And you don't love any of that?
And bitter old Aunt Edith is actually right. He couldn't be less thrilled by the idea of spending his life with Peggy. Driving to their honeymoon destination, they get caught in a nasty storm, and to their misfortune, a tree has fallen and blocked the road. Peggy asks Charles if he'd be able to move the tree. Unhappy with this, he has her look in the glove compartment for a flashlight. She finds one, along with a handgun. Neither he or Peggy knows where the gun came from.
Must be a wedding present from old Aunt Edith. I'll take care of it.
Charles is unsuccessful at moving the tree. It's here, in both versions of the story, when a lightning flash reveals an old dark house, so they make a run for it in the rain. The house appears abandoned. TV Peggy finds the front door key nearby, while the comic couple easily break the rotted lock. The differences between the two Charlies are prevalent here. In the comics, he lifts up Peggy and carries her across the threshold, while in the show, Peggy has to ask him to.
Don't you think?
Think what? What?
Well, don't you think that you should carry me over the threshold?
The couple explores the empty house, finding the master bedroom. It has everything a newlywed couple could want for their honeymoon suite. A large bed, a fireplace ready to be ignited, and a battle axe hanging over the mantel. I swear it's a lot more romantic in the comic. Though TV Charles clearly can't stand his new wife, who just wants her honeymoon to be perfect.
Oh, and I'd do anything for you, too. And your bank account.
Their clothes are hanging to dry, and the two make their way to the bed. Charles places the gun on the nightstand as Peggy gets ready. HBO gets a little too hot for YouTube right here. Let's just say it's a horror movie, so you bet there's gonna be screaming.
We made a child. I know we did.
Meanwhile, the comic has some narration panels that get really sly with their metaphors. The sequence ends with the two in bed together, sleeping peacefully. This was at a time when Lucy and Desi couldn't even share a bed on TV. No wonder EC Comics got labeled as smut back then. Later in the night, Charles wakes up. The sheets look brand new, the room is no longer dingy, Peggy is nowhere to be found, and all their stuff is gone. He looks out the window. A woman who looks exactly like Peggy is with another man. Charles hides and watches as the two enter the house, deep in the throes of passion. He thinks Peggy is cheating on him, but comic book Charles puts the puzzle together much quicker. He's actually witnessing the wedding night of Peggy's parents, Frida and Alan, the very night Peggy was conceived. As Alan sleeps, Frida takes the battle axe off the wall. Now that she is with child, she plans to preserve their perfect love forever, not allowing time to sour their passion for one another. Charles tries to stop her, but he goes through her like a ghost. Peggy's father is hacked to bits.
Peggy's mother killed her husband in this house on their wedding night.
Charles wakes up from this nightmare. He tells Peggy he dreamed of her parents, and that her mother killed her father on their honeymoon. Peggy tells Charles that's exactly what happened, and now that they have conceived a child of their own, she is going to preserve their perfect love the same way. She has the giant axe and takes multiple swings at him. Guys, know your significant other's family history before you marry them. The show adds a small detail in an epilogue. The gun belonged to Charles the whole time, and he was going to kill Peggy and take all of her money. Obviously, she had the quicker draw in the end. The next morning, Peggy talks with her aunt, and it's heavily implied the murderous honeymoon cycle will begin again someday with her own daughter. Charles is clearly a rotten person in the show, which helps the episode stay true to the signature EC Comics comeuppance for wrongdoers. But the comic is a welcome shift towards tragedy, with Charles genuinely in love with Peggy and being murdered for it. Love Her Come Hack Me is a story that I feel works best in the shortest form possible. The comic only has 7 pages to tell the story, with no time to waste. Its quick pace and risque implications make it a true romance gone wrong. The show's lack of restrictions in sex and violence create a much more visceral experience. Plus, cinematographer Jeffrey Durr's lighting takes many cues from the color of the comic. It's just that the episode's extended setup kind of deflates the tension for me. But Tom Holland did put together the bloodiest, best-looking episode so far, a style that has become a Tales from the Crypt family tradition.
Ah!